Here's to a mild autumn and clear roads across the U.S. from the Allen Lund Company.
First off, I guess I'm just curious, how are things going there in Alaska?
Things overall are good. Alaska being in a remote location, obviously, very similar to Hawaii, we are super reliant on transportation. So the things that affect us the most are weather. And we just got our first big snow. So that's probably been our big challenge this week, is getting into the mindset of, okay, now we have to adjust for winter weather, which in Alaska is extreme, even in the most populated areas.
Have you always lived in Alaska, Jamie?
I am born and raised, yes.
Wow. Explain what the weather is like there. You have Scott and I. Scott, you're from California, so you really have no idea.
In California.
I'm Canadian, so a little bit more familiar, but I don't think as familiar with the snow as you would be.
Yeah, no, so we have a weird weather cycle. We have, I would like to call, 2.5 seasons. We have winter, which is the bulk of it, which can run from, let's say, October at best, all the way through April and into May. And that is from initial snow, freeze, to the thawing of it. So we get a very short window on spring. And when we have our summer, it's about 2 months. It's June and July. And it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. But Alaska is very different and unique in that we have 0 daylight in the winter, and then 24 hours of daylight in the summertime. So a lot of folks up here, even ones who are born and bred here, can deal with, like seasonal depression, because it's totally bizarro to go from, this daylight, beautiful, everything's bright and beautiful, to darkness for a very long time.
Wow.
This is a weird question maybe, but to me, I feel like 24 hours of sunlight would probably
Might be too much?
Well, probably too much, but I feel like that would be better than 24 hours of darkness.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, or?
I do agree. It's great. It's hard to get good sleep in the summer, because you will look outside. When I say 24 hours, I'm exaggerating a bit, but it does not get pitch black. So it gets to a dusky haze. So you'll get, it's 11:30 at night and there's still sunlight out. So you'll want to be up. So then your sleep is affected, and you get up in the morning and it's bright, and but it's a positive thing. Everybody here loves the summer. It's when it comes to the winter and the darkness that it gets hard, because if you're working a 9 to 5, the whole time you're at work, the light is gone. So you've missed it. You've missed that window. And so you basically go to work and it's dark, and you go home, it's dark. And a lot of folks, they buy these, those lights that they put in their house to kind of increase their vitamin D.
Yeah.
But it's a little weird.
Wow.
Yeah. It sounds weird. It sounds weird. And I mean, your body is not designed for that. Yeah. It's not like something you can just kind of, think about and adjust to.
Do you think it's easier for you because you grew up in it, though?
It's easier for me because I think that I have accepted it, but it still affects me in that I should go to bed at 9 o'clock at night, and I want to stay up. And so I get sleep deprived. In the winter, it can be. I'll tell you what it does. It makes the days really long because you don't have the natural sense of the earth kind of adjusting your system.
Yeah.
You have to remind yourself, oh, okay, I have to do this by this time, or it's already, it's bedtime. It's time to get up. In the summertime, we use, some people use blackout curtains to create that darkness to go to sleep. And then, and vice versa, we use artificial lighting in the winter to create light. It's a different lifestyle.
For sure. Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, for sure. And are you in Anchorage? or elsewhere?
I am based in Anchorage, yes.
Anchorage, okay. And obviously, you are the president and CEO of the Alaska Trucking Association. How long have you been there?
So I have been affiliated with the Alaska Trucking Association for over a decade, but in my current role since July of 2024. Prior to that, I was with FedEx as an operations and on-road manager for about 30 years.
I'm curious, what led you into FedEx? What led you into kind of the trucking transportation world?
Well, when I was a student at the University of Alaska and working a bunch of part-time jobs, and I was about 18 or 19, and my dad at the time was working for FedEx, which was Flying Tigers before that. So he was in the cargo world, and we had a conversation, and basically he was like, "What are you doing? You know, what? I know you're going to school, but you're working 3 jobs. You really should get on at FedEx." And he lured me in with they had at the time they had jump seat privileges, and they paid tuition reimbursement, and they paid pretty well. And I was like, okay, well, I hated it. I hated it the first day because it was manual labor and something I was completely unprepared for.
How old were you at the time?
I was 19.
19, okay, yeah. So you were in that prime age where you're just like, I'm not having this. This is not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I after a couple meltdowns, I stuck it out and kind of made it what I needed it to be, which I think a lot of young folks don't really encompass. They get deterred from, the work part of it. This is hard. I don't think I need to be here. I found the easiest way for me to make my way through was to find the path that I wanted to take within FedEx. And even if that didn't look the way that I thought it would to begin with, I mean, I spent my first 10 years there changing jobs. I took a job in Chicago because every Alaskan, this is no joke, every Alaskan wants to leave, but every Alaskan comes back.
Yeah.
They always come back. So I got out for a year. I came back, and then I decided I wanted to get into leadership, that if I was going to continue to be at FedEx, I wanted to pursue it in a manner that was going to be a little more financially beneficial to me, but also kind of lean into what I felt was my positive aspects, and that was leadership. And so that's kind of where I got into operations management, and that really did change my perspective on everything. I was a fine arts major in college.
Oh, so that's a little bit of a shift. A little shift,
I never did anything with that. So big shift, but I was able to use my creative outlets differently, and that was influencing employees and people.
It sounds like you didn't quite get a CDL, or did you?
I did.
You did, okay.
So when a few years in, when I was kind of figuring out where I wanted to be, and I wanted to learn as much about the company as possible, I went into on-road operations. So managing CDL employees, I was required to get my CDL, and then I was on the road quite often. So yeah, I actually still hold my CDL.
Gotcha. Yeah. And we're going to talk kind of big picture here, but just I'm fascinated by your story in particular here with FedEx. Here we're in the Kansas City area, and here you've got FedEx drivers, and you're pretty much doing deliveries in town. I would imagine you've got concentrations of population there. Obviously, Anchorage, Juneau, you've got a few bigger cities there, but there is a lot of rural area that is kind of off the beaten path. What is that like for, I guess, a typical FedEx driver there? Are they making much longer trips in a lot of cases, or what does that look like?
Well, so how it works is FedEx has a hub in Anchorage, and the Anchorage International Airport is one of the largest cargo hubs in the world because of its proximity to Asia and, to the continental U.S. So they receive all the freight there, and they have two stations within Anchorage that service the Anchorage area. The rest of the freight is sent out on aircraft. So, for instance, anything that's for Fairbanks or Juneau or Kodiak, it's all flown out on smaller aircraft.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too efficient, I suppose, to send out a bunch of, FedEx trucks to all corners of the state, probably. That makes sense.
They have quite a reach. When I was there, and they still do this, we had a route that went to Seward, which is, I want to say, 100 miles outside of Anchorage and Kenai. So they have some reach here, but that's actually how most of the transportation works here, or the shipping. It comes into Anchorage, and then it's filtered out through smaller aircraft into the rural communities.
Gotcha.
Or trucked.
Yeah.
At Truck Stop, we built a better load board for carriers like you. Sign up today and access over 600,000 loads on the most trusted online load board. Learn why the best in the business rely on Truck Stop to make more money and start driving your profit today.
Penske is the trusted source for quality used trucks. Whether you search our website, call our sales staff, or bid at our online auction, you are sure to find the right used truck for your business. Visit PenskeUsedTrucks.com to view our inventory and learn more.
House Products provides your diesel with total performance and protection. Use Diesel Defender for a full system cleaning. Start treatment early with Diesel Treat to prevent gelling all season. And protect yourself from winter emergencies with Diesel Lifeline. Stay moving with House.
Attention all truckers, Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I want to talk to you about those dreaded tax problems. I know you want to keep on trucking and not even think about them, but let's face it, they're not going away all on their own. You need professional help. I've been helping truckers put their tax problems in the rearview mirror for years. I can help you too. Call me now for a free consultation at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com. It's like I always say, keep your eyes on the road, I'll keep mine on the IRS. 888-557-4020.
Truckers, your engine works as hard as you do. Don't let torsional vibrations sideline your rig. Vibratech TVD viscous dampers protect your crankshaft, cut downtime, and keep you earning mile after mile. Over 75 years of trusted protection made in the USA. Find a dealer at vibratechtvd.com.
Since you started, what you've loved about trucking is the freedom. Heading out on your favorite route, a good driving song, and thinking about truck insurance. Well, maybe not that last one. That's why we're here. At OOIDA, we have a full range of truck insurance products, expert advice, and great customer service, helping you get the right coverage for your operation. Go to OOIDA.com, because your job is to drive. Our job is to help with everything else.
I'm curious, how is trucking different there compared to the U.S.? You said you lived in Chicago for a while. I'm just curious, the comparisons of the two.
The biggest comparison is that Alaska, only 20% of the state is accessible by road. So in Illinois and Indiana and Midwest, everywhere in the continental U.S., you can pretty much get to any place you need to go to by road. It's not the same in Anchorage. We have points of contact that we get into, and then, again, everything has to be filtered out by smaller vehicles or by plane or boat.
Yeah. So because of that challenge, what does, I guess, a typical day look like for a truck driver? And I know it can vary, obviously. It can vary here in the lower 48, but what does that look like for a typical truck driver? Are they making longer hauls, or is it a lot? Are there more short hauls, or kind of what does that look like?
We have quite a bit of short haul, but we have an extensive long haul network, and the most notorious of our long haul routes are from Anchorage to Prudhoe Bay. So Prudhoe Bay is located at the northernmost point of Alaska, and that's where all the oil fields are. And so what happens is there's Anchorage, which is the number one populated city in the state, and then Fairbanks is the second. So Fairbanks is in the northern region, and Fairbanks is the hub for anything that's going to the oil field, so the North Slope. And because it's growing and changing every single day, and the oil search is a huge, that's a big moneymaker for Alaska. It's serviced on that road. And it runs along the Alaska pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be, I would say, is our most notorious long haul route. And that road was built in 1973, I think, and it has seen a lot of changes, but it is 414 miles of rural gravel road with some intermittent pavement through the tundra.
Wow.
That sounds challenging.
It's very challenging. And while Alaska has a lot of roads like that, we have the Parks Highway with Richardson. The Dalton is the one that gets the most attention because of the North Slope, and we're going to have a natural gas line coming through there soon. So, but it is. I've driven that road 3 times in the past year, and it is I'm not kidding when I say it's essentially a gravel road. So you're taking, loads of pipe, equipment, supplies through a very remote location with very limited services. Your average trucking route in the lower 48, you'll probably find a truck stop or truck parking, every 50 miles. We're talking, 250 miles before you reach the next stop for food.
So how
and adequate restroom.
Yeah, and that's a mindset. I mean, how do you prepare for something like that? And I'm just imagining too. You're talking about a road that doesn't sound like it might be A, comfortable, but B, I imagine there are all sorts of breakdown concerns too along that route, especially since there isn't help, or a stop really nearby in a lot of places. What does the preparation look like for someone that is doing that?
So someone who's planning to drive the haul road, and these are experienced drivers. Yeah. We don't put anybody on this road that is inexperienced. Even every single company has a training program and an expectation. So when they hire somebody on, they want long haul experience, and they want experience in these vehicles in this weather to be prepared for it. Because that's another challenge that we face, is that you have companies that are delivering out of Canada or the lower 48, and they get on the Dalton Highway, and they're not prepared. And the preparation really lies in, one, having the right equipment. So when these companies are buying their tractors and their chassis, they are getting them specially outfitted to drive on what we call the haul road. The Dalton Highway is the haul road. And so that includes, lights that you can see moose with, lights that you can see for long distances with no lighting, no artificial lighting on the road. There's moose guards that they put on the front of the trucks in case they hit any wildlife. So it won't, the vehicle won't be destroyed. There's the preparation as far as getting yourself prepared for a drive where you could break down in Arctic temperatures, and I'm talking -40 below.
Yeah.
This is serious Arctic weather. So the drivers that I've ridden with, in their cab, they have all the equipment they may need to do, soft repairs on road, but also Arctic gear, food, water, anything they need to sleep in that environment. Some of them carry, sat phones because the service, I don't want to say there's 3 points along that road where you can get good service.
Yeah.
Which is really, it's really humbling when you're so used to being connected all the time.
Yeah, it sounds kind of nice in a way. Although I'm sure it's not nice when you need to reach out to somebody, but it does sound kind of nice.
It's nice when I've been very fortunate. All the drivers I've ridden with have become very friendly with, and they're wonderful people. So the people that you want to talk to for 12 hours at a time, but that is, the isolation is real. I mean, they're not always riding with somebody. They're solo, and that is a very isolated environment, which can kind of do a number on your head if you are not mentally prepared for it.
Well, especially if you're on month 3 of just pure darkness as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned the moose. I will say, so I moved
I thought about you
from Canada
yeah.
to the Midwest, and that was like a realization I had one day when I was driving. I was like, I don't have to be worried about moose.
Nope, no moose here.
Though I do think I saw a news story recently. I think one was spotted in Kansas. So they're
awesome.
They're making their way to the Midwest, which is kind of scary. But anyway, but I am curious, about the wildlife there. Obviously, a little bit different than what we deal with here in the Midwest.
Yeah, and the wildlife is not exclusive to remote areas. I live in a very populated area, and you have to be. We jokingly call, you have to be bear aware and moose aware when you walk out of your house, because any given time, they can be right in your front yard. And there's been many times when I'm like, okay, well, I can't go to work.
I guess I'm going back inside. Yeah,
I got to wait this one out because you don't approach them. I mean, if they are wildlife, you do not approach wildlife whatsoever. But the problem with us building this wonderful city and community in this region is that the wildlife was here. A millennia before us. This is their land. So you drive down the street, you see a moose, and every Alaskan knows you flash your lights to the oncoming traffic so they see it, and you stop and you wait. You respect the wildlife, because they will, if you hit them, it happens all the time. There's waiting lists for moose roadkill. I swear it's a thing up here. But they will destroy a vehicle, and it can kill somebody because their antlers. They can really do some damage. But wildlife is real here. It's something to be super aware of. When I was a kid, I almost got trampled by a moose. I learned real early on to respect them.
Stay away. What does moose meat? I've never had moose meat. What does that taste like? Have you had it,
I've
Ashley?
had moose meat. Yeah, it's good. I assume you've had it, Jamie.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It is really good. It it's comparable to beef, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm just glad you didn't say it tastes like chicken, because anytime you ask somebody about any kind of meat that they've ever had,
tastes like chicken.
Like chicken.
Definitely doesn't taste like chicken, but it is good though. It is good meat. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find that moose in Kansas, and
I'd rather not.
We'll go get dinner. No, maybe not.
Jamie, I'm curious, some of the misconceptions about Alaska. What are some of them that you've heard that have stood out to you?
Well, the basic misconceptions are that we are not, educated, or that a lot of us live a subsistence type lifestyle. There is a wonderful native population in Alaska. Obviously, this is their land, but I think that is the image that a lot of people have, is that you have the native population, and that's how everybody lives. Anchorage is, like I said, it's very populated. So Alaska has only 750,000 people. And the majority of those 300,000 are in Anchorage. We have, everything. We have Costco, we have shopping, we have, nightlife, that kind of thing. So I think the misconception, which actually works to our benefit, is that we're living a very, dialed down lifestyle that's, in the wilderness. Well, there is that, all the reality shows, they're true. I mean, there are folks that do live off the grid, but it's a very, up and coming city. And the beautiful part about that is that a lot of people are just, they think of that image and they're like, that's not for me, and the weather. And so it keeps us in a position where the population is down, so that, if you want to go somewhere, you can find a parking spot. If you want to get into a restaurant, you can get in. Everything is very accessible due to our small population.
There are certain places in the world, I think, that when you live there or you're from there, it's kind of in your blood. And Alaska sounds very much like one of those kinds of places. You were joking earlier, and maybe you weren't totally joking about, every Alaskan is trying to get away, and there's certainly a part of that everywhere you go, but and they always go back, and I think that just speaks to the beauty and probably power of your state.
It does. I mean, I think what you do come to understand and appreciate is that, again, I probably went the extreme way. I lived in downtown Chicago, so you're dealing with a different populace. spent half my life traveling back and forth to Hawaii because my father's family is from there. So and also with FedEx, I managed in Hawaii. I had Alaska and Hawaii, so I went back and forth doing that. But the difference in a city environment ruling how you move and live, for instance, traffic, you have to be very dialed in and plan to travel. Whereas in Alaska, everything is very open and accessible. And again, you're not hindered by a huge population, but there's enough of a population to feel like you're not living in a very small town. I mean, it's small town in all the good ways.
Yeah, it sounds great.
It's a big city.
When you lived in Chicago, did you laugh in the face of people who told you how cold it was there? Did you?
You know what?
It is cold there.
I was taken aback by, they don't call it the Windy City for nothing.
Yeah.
But I lived near Lake Michigan in Lincoln Park, and I was just utterly blown away by how cold it really did get, because
that wind coming off that lake is nothing to mess with.
It was insane. And again, people don't know how to drive in winter conditions. There are places where they get an inch of snow and they shut down. We had 10 inches yesterday. Yeah. We're all still here, trudging through it. But what it really, it taught me was that, it's all different strokes, but Chicago weather was different in that it had severe extremes, super hot in the summer and then the super cold winter too.
Let's circle back to trucking because, again, you kind of talked about some of the challenges there. The one great thing about trucking associations like yours is obviously you are there to be the voice for truck drivers who are out on the road. You are there to help them with, issues, big and small, whatever may come up. The state associations here in the lower 48 are dealing with a lot of the same things. We talk about truck parking and restroom access and fraud. The list goes on, and I'm sure you're more than aware of that. What are some of the big issues that you are currently hearing about from your members and what they're concerned about, kind of, again, on a big picture scale?
For my members, because of our, the ruralness of our state, it's really about infrastructure challenges. So Mother Nature will do a number on our roads. So we can't have a regular paved highway. Like I said, for instance, the Dalton Highway, it is called a highway because it's federally funded, but it is a gravel road. And the weather affects the roads tremendously. So, you're dealing with a lot of unpaved roads, weather-related closures, or, we'll have roads shut down because of weather. So, yeah, I think that is one of our biggest challenges, is just maintaining the infrastructure so that we can still travel along it.
And that's a constant battle. It sounds like.
It is. It's a constant battle. When I meet with my fellow associations, we all kind of we do have very similar issues, but I would say, across the board, we have the same issues with, the truck parking, the driver shortages and recruitment, regulatory burdens, that kind of stuff. But for us, it's more how does the weather impact our infrastructure, and how do we keep the infrastructure sound?
Yeah. Is insurance an issue too? I would imagine the insurance situation there might be a little bit different just because you do have so many hazards that are out there, or does it look kind of the same as we have it here?
I think it looks similar, but I know that there are definitely insurance. There are some rising insurance costs for, you've got, certain roads that are a little more, they're more impactful to a vehicle or can cause, more damage. So you'll see more incidences on those type of roads because you can't drive along, for instance, the Dalton Highway and not have, the environment impact your vehicle.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, it's fascinating. Again, I'm sure you probably get tired of answering questions like this from simpletons like Ashley and me, but it's
not
fascinating.
At all. I love it.
It really is fascinating. Yeah.
It is. It really is.
Alaska looks beautiful. I'd certainly love to visit someday.
I would too.
Well, you're both welcome to come up. Again, it's funny that I spent, like I said, I spent 30 years with FedEx, and when I left and came into this role, it actually, because I was kind of in a time in my life where I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's time to move on, go somewhere else, try something else out. And then when I took this job, it really renewed my love for the state and appreciation.
That's
awesome.
beautiful.
We love to hear that.
I think
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a great place to end, our conversation today. But Jamie, really appreciate you sharing all this with us, and we'll take you up on that. If you get a couple bedrooms made up, and we'll swing by.
Yes, we appreciate your time.
All right, you guys just give me a holler.
All right,
Sounds
thanks
good.
so much, Jamie.
Thank
Take care.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for listening. Today's episode of Trucking with OOIDA was brought to you by a dedicated team of people. That includes Jim Fetzer, Tennille Flick, and Kim Boren.
You can listen to new episodes and extended interviews on your favorite podcast platform and on the OOIDA YouTube page. Please subscribe while you're there. If you've got thoughts, we'd love to hear them. Call us at 1-800-324-6856 and leave a message, or send us an email to podcast@ooida.com, and we might include it on the show.